All right, welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of the podcast, and I'm very excited. We're trying out a few new things this episode. One, if you're watching this, you probably realize I have a different camera. So there we go. Making some improvements, small, every day. We're doing it. The other thing is this is going to be our first Q&A. So I asked you guys on my social media accounts. If you don't follow me on social, that's where you can see some of the questions that I ask my listeners and all that stuff. Anyways, I asked, hey, what do you want to know about Brett? Give me some Q&A stuff. I get to know me more. Maybe I have some advice for you. Anyways, so I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to try out a few things and learn a little bit about each other. So let's just jump into this. And the very first question that I got was, how do you wake up so early? And this is kind of funny. I've never really been someone who wakes up early or like has been known to wake up early. But the thing is, once I started listening to the principles Jocko was talking about in 2015, when I was introduced to him, I started implementing small habits in my life that, helped me wake up early and decide to do so. It's funny. He was asked the same question in an interview, and his answer was, I just wake up and when my alarm goes off, I just get up. And a lot of us are not that talented. Like I totally recognize it's hard to wake up, especially on days when you're overly tired from the day before. Maybe you were up all night with a baby or home from work late, whatever the situation might be. It's hard to get up early, but the more that you do it, and if you stay consistent, you start to learn a little bit about yourself, what your body needs in terms of sleep, because you still need sleep. Your body needs to recover and get better. I am terrible at like sleep. My body just doesn't allow me to sleep that much, unfortunately. And so like I'm trying to be better with that. But that's how is if you want to wake up early, just do it. You know it's going to be hard and it's not going to be fun, but just do it. All right, another question. When you don't want to work on something, what do you do? Okay, so to me, the very first thing, if you don't want to work on something, is ask yourself why you're doing it in the first place. Are you gonna go mow your lawn? Because you have to do it. You might not want to, but if you let it, the grass grow, it's gonna get all ugly and your neighbors are gonna get ticked. HOA is gonna come knocking on your door, demanding you to cut your lawn. You know how they get. Anyways, ask yourself what it is that or why you're doing the thing that you're doing. If it's important to you or like you want to make sure something happens, then just do it. But like if it's, for example, oh man, why am I on, or like, I don't know, if you feel like you need to post something on social media, for example, your friend does something and their posts on social look really good. And you're like, man, I need to be like that. I need to go make some posts. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just do you. But anyways, to answer the question, when you don't want to work on something, ask yourself why you have to do it. But then you might just have to put in the discipline and the work just to start. And it might not be easy, but nothing good in this life comes easy. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm sure. It's just true. Like you will reap the benefits of all that stuff. So just get it done. If you got to do it, suck it up and go. Don't tell yourself some excuse why you can't do it. All right. Next question. What do you feel people misunderstand about you most? So this was an interesting one, and it took me a few seconds to come up with an answer to it. But basically, I feel some people might look at me as like a guy that wants to be a self-help dude, like you can do anything you set your mind to, which I believe is true if it is relevant to you and you have the talent, skills, and your situation and circumstances allow you to do it. Not everyone's going to be able to do everything they want to. I totally understand that. I can't go and be an astronaut tomorrow. Like you, there's steps that I would have had to take in my life to get to that point to where I could be an astronaut, but I would have to study certain things in school. I would have to go through training programs. I love space and I love astronomy, but I would have to learn so much more than I already know. And it would be an effort. Anyways, what I'm saying is I don't want to be a self help guy. Sure, my message is I want to inspire others to go after what they're passionate about. But self help is, in my opinion, like, oh, yeah, you can do it if you set your mind to it. That's true. Set your mind to it, but then figure out the steps that you need to take in order to get there. Like, you put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort, develop those habits that I've talked about, and just be consistent with what you're doing. And, you'll reach your goals. It just might take longer than you initially anticipated. So that's one thing that I think people misunderstand about me is I'm not trying to be some self-help guy. I just want to help other people realize that they have more potential than they see in themselves. And oftentimes in our society, I feel like because we compare ourselves so much to others through social media, through our like work and our relationships that we have at our jobs, so many areas that we compare ourselves to, like even your neighbors. Hey, why don't I have that car? Or, man, that dude's got some 6-pack abs. What do I have to do with my diet to get that? Whoa. We compare ourselves all the time without us even knowing. So don't compare yourself to other people because comparison is the thief of joy. And that's true. Another question. This one's a little more lighthearted. It's good. What is your favorite holiday movie and what does it say about you? I don't really know what this is going to say about me, but if we're talking Christmas movie, my favorite holiday movie's got to be Daddy's Home 2. Oddly enough, I was up in Rexburg, Idaho, going to school. It was like finals week. I was just about to head home, and I was studying, needed a break. I was kind of having, honestly, a hard time. It's like, this is just ridiculous. I was going through some stuff with some roommates, and I need a break. And Daddy's Home 2 was playing in the theater. So I went by myself, sat there, and now it's one of my favorite Christmas movies because anything with Mark Wahlberg in it. Mark, if you're out there listening and you want to sponsor this podcast or you want to be on it, you have an invitation, my friend. Anyways, so Daddy's Home 2, favorite Christmas movie. But we have a treat coming up. It's Halloween time, guys. And Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie, not a Christmas movie. I will fight you tooth and nail on that. If you want to come at me with some argument about how a Halloween town is related to, somehow Christmas, listen, only one guy in that movie, talking Jack Skellington, his idea is he wanted to be Santa, right? But the whole town was like, no, we're still in Halloween mode. We're going to give all these gifts that scare the hell out of the kids that get them. That's Halloween. You're supposed to scare people. It's not Christmas. Christmas, you're giving gifts of love and joy, not scary. So it's a Halloween movie and it's coming up and it's one of my favorites. The reason why, we used to watch it as kids and then we'd carve pumpkins, listen to the soundtrack and dance around the house with our pumpkins. We did weird stuff as kids, but great memories and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So those are my two favorite holiday movies. Next question. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be? This one's simple. I just want to be known as someone that is there for others, that helps other people. And it's the entire message of this podcast. Like, I want to help people realize that they can do what they want to and try it out. I don't know if, long term, where I would love to see the podcast is if I was able to make some kind of money from it and live off that, that would be a dream. So I needed to take the steps in order to see if I can make that dream a reality. And that's what I want to tell other people is if there's something that you want to do, then go do it. I also want to be remembered as the guy that anyone could call on if they needed something. If your tire's blown out on the freeway, you can call Brett and he'll be there, help you out. That's what I want to be. I want to be the guy that people like. I try to be nice. I don't know. Be nice. We need more nice people in the world. That's how I'd want to be remembered. It's just someone that gives and serves, tries not to think too much about himself. Again, going back to social media, I think it makes it kind of difficult for us. Like, we're always thinking about ourselves, how we can portray a better image for society, I guess. Um, but that's just not fulfilling. Like, if you really want value in life and you want to be happy, find ways that you can help others. Serve them. If your neighbor's having a hard day, bake them some cookies. Or if the guy next to you at work seems to be down a little bit, maybe talk to him. Say hi. Don't say, "Hey, how you doing?" Why don't you ask him about something? Try and find out what he's passionate about, what some of his hobbies are. Or that girl that's helping you. I don't know. I'm trying to think of another example here and I'm spacing. Anyways, that's the beauty of doing a live podcast. But just be there for other people. Find ways that you can uplift others and impact someone's day for the better. It's easy. It really is easy. Once you start looking outside of yourself and you say, that guy could use a good thumbs up. That's it. You're watching, you're giving some good thumbs up pictures. So go watch this. But be there for people. It's easy. Next question. If you won $10 million tomorrow, what would you spend it on? Banana Twinkies and endless Taco Bell nacho sauce. Not together. That's gross. But I'd want to eat $5 million worth of banana Twinkies, and then the other 5 million, I could just have that Taco Bell sauce. I'd never have to worry about it expiring. Both of those things. I mean, they're so bad for you. Anyways, that's why I'd eat it, because it's delicious, and I have $10 million. But on a serious note, no, I'd probably buy a house. Find, I don't want to buy my mom a brand new Suburban. She's always talked about it. I want to get her like the nicest Suburban I can. Throw two 12-inch subwoofers in the back for her so she can listen to like Lil Jon and stuff when she's driving. So I'd get her that. Probably get my dad some books. He's a very scholarly old man. So I don't know, be like, here you go, Dad. Here's a book on Alexander Graham Bell. Happy birthday. The other thing I do is probably just invest it. I don't know, be smart with my money, try and do, I don't know, something that would help me in the future, and then give the rest of whatever I don't use to a charity in need. I'd give to like a food bank or something like that. Lots of people are hungry now, and if I could help with that, I would. Anyways, that's probably what I'd spend it on. Some super stuff, and then a little bit better things as well. What advice do you have for putting yourself out there? Be bold. It's as simple as that. Take a look at your life and realize that whatever is holding you back from putting yourself out there is probably a lot less strenuous than you think. Like, I'll give an example of this. I had a lot of social anxiety when I moved up to Utah initially. It was a new place. I moved away from my family, started a new job, and it was like I was basically starting over for life. And I was like, well, I don't know where to go with this. I don't want to have to go start talking to people and meeting new friends and doing all that stuff. Like, that's too much for me to handle right now. But then, like, I thought about it and I was like, that's kind of a dumb way of thinking. Like, if I want to have the life I want to live, I want to go help people, and I can't help people if I'm just sitting around thinking about helping people. You have to actually go do it. It's like, be true to your word, right? Anyways, going back to the question of how you put yourself out there, just overcome a lot of, or try your best. I'll say, try your best to overcome those self-talk, or that negative self-talk that we always do with ourselves. I mean, we've talked a little bit about it on this podcast already, is we're our own worst enemy. We really are. We hold ourselves back from doing so much. And if we're able to hone that in, focus on some of the reasons that we're a little hesitant to put ourselves out there and say, you know what, that's not really that big of a deal. I can push through that. I want to see what's on the other side. Because that's the other thing too, is you can go through life and live comfortable. You can live a life where you're, you know, eating fast food, everything's convenient for you. You just stream Netflix all day. You're watching whatever you want. It's right at your fingertips. Super easy. You could live a life like that. Uh, I've tried doing that. It's not really that fulfilling to me. Might be to you, and that's great if it is. But ask yourself the question of what's on the other side of my hesitancy. Okay, say my social anxiety example. If there was a party or a networking event that I was, a little hesitant to go into, and I was like, I want to be comfortable. I don't want to go put myself out there. I don't want to have to go talk to new people. I don't want to have to do that. It sounds hard. Sure. Sure, it is hard. Yeah. But ask yourself, okay, let's think for a second. If I do decide to go to this networking event, maybe I'll meet someone that'll help me in my career. Maybe I'll meet someone that could help me learn a little bit about myself. Maybe there's someone there that needs me to talk to them. Who knows? And that's the point, is you'll never know until you try. With this podcast, I've thought about it, right, for I want to say a year. I've always had this idea of like starting a podcast. And it's a good idea. Sure. Start a podcast. It's a good idea. But unless you're taking action and you're actually like going after and putting forth the work and the effort to make it happen, it's just going to be an idea. And ideas don't do anything. They just sit there. So yeah, sure, you might have a nice idea, but where's that going to get you if you don't take action? You got to actually go put in the effort. Get after it. Do exactly what I say. That's the other part too. Going back to the question of, what do people misunderstand about me the most? I feel like an imposter, to be completely honest with all of you. Sometimes I'm like, well, I'm just regurgitating a lot of what I've learned. And from what a lot of the people that I listen to say, like getting after it, that's the message of Jocko, is just go do and put forth some work. But it's a message that's changed my life. And maybe I have a perspective on it that Jocko might not, which I cannot not see happening. I think he understands what getting after it means from all levels. The guy's a beast. And he's an inspiration. But I mean, yeah, sometimes I do feel like an imposter. And that's another thing. Going back to the question of putting yourself out there, that's something that I have to overcome. Is I do feel like sometimes I'm just saying what others say, right? I do. I preach a lot about hard work, consistency, habits, and so many other people do it too. But, it's an important message that I believe everyone needs to hear. And if I can give anyone insight and a different look into that, and it can go and affect their lives for the better, then I can handle being, someone thinking that I'm an imposter. And that's another thing with putting yourself out there, is think about the worst case scenario. If you can handle it, go for it. And I can't remember what episode of the podcast I talked a lot about that on, but it's a good message. And it's one that I think everyone needs to learn a little bit, is be honest with yourself and think about the worst case scenario. If it's something you decide that you can do, what's holding you back? Just go for it. Don't be scared. I served a mission for my church. And when you serve your mission for your church, you have like a companion you spend all your time with. I want to go into the nuances of it, but your very first companion that you work with is called your trainer. And I had this trainer. He was from Mesa, Arizona. He was pretty fun to be with. He had amazing cars, and he had this advice. I don't even think he thought it was advice when he was giving it at the time, but it was, you can't live your life scared. You can't live scared. And it's true. There's so many things that we do that like potentially could scare us, quote unquote. And if we could just overcome those things and see what's on the other side of that fear, then, you can't live your life scared. See what's on the other side. If you remember me talking about the demon inside my head that I have to fight every day, who I named Kenny, tell Kenny to take a hike. Like, get out of here. We don't listen to that negative self-talk here. Bye-bye. See ya. Get those thoughts out. So put yourself out there and just be bold. Just go for it. This is another one that I thought was interesting. Are there any women who have inspired you in your life? Yeah, there's quite a few actually. I think this one, in the context of the question, was relating more towards like a celebrity woman. But it would not be like, I have to talk about the other women who inspire me before I talk about celebrities. Obviously, top of the list is my mom. She's the hardest worker I've ever met, and I can't wait to get her on here to tell her story about her business, and then some of the other passions that she has. She's the real life Leslie Knope, so get ready for that. And then my grandmas, both on both sides, are fantastic examples of service, putting others first, and love. So I look up to both of them very highly. Really, anyone who's in my family. I've met some really great managers, amazing teachers. If you're a teacher out there, you don't understand the influence you have on your kids. I always remember that was like the biggest thing, is like when you're, in second grade, it's like, who's your teacher? Who are you going to be spending 8 hours a day with? It's crazy. Anyways, I had a lot of teachers who influenced me. My coach for volleyball that I played for volleyball 6 years. And my coach was a woman. And I talked a little bit about her in I think episode 3, when I was asking about overcoming mental hurdles. My brother mentioned her a lot and how she said work or cry. That was her thing. Like, you can either put in the work or you can just cry about it, complain. She was a very positive influence on me. She worked me hard, and there were times when I was running laps or doing, suicides on the line. You know what those are? I was not very fond of her at the time, but looking back, she taught me a lot about hard work and the joys that, come from it. I didn't win state, but my brother's team won state, and we were always highly up there in terms of like our tournament rankings. And it was because we all worked hard. We all saw the value of it, and we just put in the time and did it. So she was great. Her name was Coach V. But to go back to this question and to think of like a celebrity, I read Michelle Obama's book about becoming, and I think that's a great message. She's an inspiring woman. Tulsi Gabbard is an amazing leader, in my opinion. I don't want to get too political, but I mean, she's got some great leadership sayings and things like regarding leadership and how to help others. Anyways, she's a great inspiration to me. But if I was to think, if I had a daughter and I wanted them to look up to a celebrity or an athlete or anyone like that, I would say look up to Serena Williams. I posted something on social the other day about her, and she just knows how to work, and she knows what the value of hard work is. You don't have to look too far. She has, I don't know how many championships, but she's one of the world's best, if not the best tennis player in the entire world. And, it's because she recognized that if she wanted to be the best, she had to do what those who aren't the best don't want to do. And that's put in the work, effort, create habits that help her get there. She wouldn't have been able to do it if she was on my Taco Bell banana Twinkie diet. Serena Williams would not have to, or she would not be where she is today if she was eating all that. She realized, okay, I need to have a good diet. I need to get a good sleep regimen. I need to practice, who knows, 6 hours a day. I don't know how long she practiced. But then you also think about how many years she's dedicated to her sport. And that is inspiring alone to me. And that's what I would say. So, inspirational women, yes, I have so many in my life. And arguably, I would say I look towards like, people like my mom's advice more than I would. Sorry, Jocko, but Jocko's. I have a lot of inspirational women in my life. Every woman in my family is an inspiration. Another one is my niece. She's 14 years old, but her circumstances are very unique, and she handles them like a pro. And not only that, but she's so thoughtful of other people. If you know who she is, you'll understand this. She's always thinking of others, and she's amazing. But there's lots of different women in my life who have impacted me and will continue to. But yeah, so there's an answer to that one. The last thing that I want to leave you guys with is just this quote from Winston Churchill. I like to leave you guys with a quote every single week so you can think about it, maybe apply it to your life if possible. But it goes like this: success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. That's my message to you today, is celebrate your wins. You're going to get little wins along the way. You'll start making gains at the gym. You'll see these things. You'll set goals and you'll hit them at work, and you'll celebrate these small successes. But realize also, those times when you do fail, you're not going to die. Failure is not fatal. Just take a step back, analyze where you went wrong, or a couple different steps that you could have taken to have another outcome, and then go from there. Because it's the courage to continue that counts. It's the courage to continue to keep getting after it. That's what makes it, the courage to keep getting after it is what makes it impactful for your life. So you're going to get knocked down. You're going to win. You're going to have ups and downs. It's going to be like the stock market. But if you take a step back and you look at, the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones, anything like that, you look at like a 10-year graph, there's ups and downs. And sometimes the downs are much bigger than the ups. And, if we're taking the stock market, for example, what's going on right now? That's a little crazy. Anyways, the point is there's going to be ups and downs in your life or with whatever you're trying to pursue. This podcast, there's going to be days when I'm like, hey, there's been no one else that's listened to this thing. But then there's going to be days when someone messaged me on Instagram and says, you know what? I turned this on at the when I was driving, and it inspired me to go help someone in need. Or I saw some homeless guy on the side of the road. I pulled over and offered him to go get some food. If that happens to me, I'll be stoked and I'll celebrate that as a win. And then when those failures come, I'll just deal with them and just continue to push, because that's what's important. And that's my message with the podcast. You guys know this, is if it's important to you and you want to do it, then find out the way that you need to start and just go for it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode, and stay tuned for another interview that's coming up here pretty soon. If you want to support this podcast, you could just share it with others. If the message that I'm, promoting is anything impactful to you or has helped you in any way, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Love to hear your stories. Again, I don't have any sponsors, but if you want to go buy a nice blanket for you or someone you love, go check out snugblankets.com. They're all handmade by the real life Leslie Note, my mom, like I mentioned. that's going to be something that I talk to her about, is her business. But go buy one of those things and get out there, start getting after what you're passionate about, but then also try and find a way that you can be a positive impact on someone's day. And thanks again for listening, everyone.